Hey YouTube, this is Evan Magician 34, and I've got my Cardfight Vanguard World Championship 2012 deck. I was playing Narukami for the event. I went about halfway before I ended up getting severely luck sacked, but that's another story. And you gotta admit that between, say, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Cardfight, Vanguard is a lot more fun to lose at if you have to lose at one or the other. So, anyway, let's go ahead and start with the grade 3s. Obviously, we're running 3 copies of Draconic Kaiser Vermillion, because you want to hit him. You're really only probably going to set his effect off once, maybe twice, if you get like a heal trigger or something. But you definitely want to get him, because this guy's sort of your star player. So you're running 3 of him. And then I'm running 4 of Thunderbreak Dragon, just because he's a great alternative. Grade 3, he hits for 15 by the time he gets out most of the time, and his ability to wipe out a rear guard is awesome. Well, a grade 2 or lower, but still quite good. And because we're running 4 of these, we're also running Dragon Dancer Rai Rai, which I'll get to a little later. So he's actually one of the best rear guard grade 3s that Narukami have to offer. So we run 7 grade 3s. Into the grade 2s, I have 2 Deathseye Dragon, or Dragonic Deathseye, sorry. And we're running 2 of him just to kind of shore up Thunderbreak's effect, because we don't always get to Vermillion, and if you don't have Vermillion in your hand, there's no sense in really waiting. Plus, if you use 3 for Vermillion, you got 2 extra damage you want to counterblast with, and if you don't get Thunderbreak, this guy's a good way to use it and still take something out. Get rid of the support, get rid of that grade 2 rear guard, keeps it from intercepting, so on and so forth. He's just good, but we only need 2, obviously, because we only have so much damage to work with. We're also running 3 copies of Demonic Dragon Berserker Garuda. It's a really long name. But basically, Garuda is the grade 2 you almost always want to ride. I'll go ahead and tell you your starting Vanguard in this deck is Spark Kid Dragoon, so you want to go ahead and flip that damage right back. So ideally, you're going to ride this guy as your grade 2 on your Vanguard. And then we're running 4 copies of Thunderstorm Dragoon, basically because he's just, he's your 10k beatstick at grade 2. Really good, never sad to see him. And the other grade 2 we're going to be running, we're running 2 of Bright Lance Dragoon. The main reason I'm running him is because he's just another copy of Thunderstorm Dragoon. He's a great grade 2 to have beside your Vanguard because he hits pretty hard. He keeps your opponent forcing to guard pretty well. I just like that. Plus, in a pinch, he can do that counterblast ability to kind of increase his damage just a bit, which can pay off sometimes. Um, so that's 11 grade 2s we're running. On to grade 1. First off, obviously, we're running 4 copies of Red River Dragoon because he's your vanilla 8k booster. He's really awesome. You never sad to see him either. Those vanillas are really good, at least right now. We're running 2 copies of Lightning of Hope Helena, because 6k is a really good boost behind virtually all your attackers, and she fixes less than optimal starting hands. You pitch off those draw triggers that you drew, obviously, in your opener or something like that. Discard them, get something good, get rid of those extra grade 3s like extra copies of Vermillion, draw into something that you can make better use of. So she's quite nice. We're also running 2 copies of Photon Bomber Wyvern, just 2 because once you get the 1 behind your Vanguard, that's pretty much all you ever need. So, because he's not as great of a booster on your rear guard, obviously, because all he's ever going to do is boost for 6. But you do have 2 just so that you can hopefully hit him and put, like, say, 10k behind Vermillion to hit for 21 every turn. That's quite nice. And here are those 3 copies of Dragon Dancer Rai Rai. When she's behind your Vanguard Thunderbreak Dragon, that's 2600 damage. Or sorry, 26,000 damage, which is, obviously a lot. It almost guarantees the force of the perfect guard, and if they don't have it, they're burning a lot of shields. Plus, they have to worry about his drive check. And she's great. Most of the time, how you end up doing is you'll have Vermillion as your Vanguard, and then you got a rear guard Thunderbreak, and you got Rai Rai behind him. So your Vermillion's swinging a lot of damage, threatening more off his drive check, and you got a guaranteed column of 21 behind your Thunderbreak and your rear guard, which is really good, very effective. And even on her worst day, she's still a 6k boost, which on most attackers is going to hit that 15 to 16 mark to force out those shields. And we're lastly running 4 copies of our Perfect Guard, Wyvern Guard Gold. And he's just your Perfect Guard, so he's running 4 of these at the event. So right there you got 15 grade 1s. And the last 17 cards of the deck are all your grade 0s. Like I say, your starting Vanguard is Spark Kid Dragoon because riding to your grade 3 is so very important. I know a lot of people like Saishin, I think is his name, the little guy who like counterblasts one, like you can call him when you ride him. You can counterblast one and kill a grade 0 on your opponent's side. But there are a lot of matchups where that's really not as useful. And I know there are decks like a lot of Gold Paladins do run Sling You Want to Shoot, and Kagros sometimes will have Sling You Want to Shoot, but it's kind of like I like something that's good in every match, so I don't have to worry about it. So I prefer Spark Kid. Plus my extra Thunder Breaks are grade 3s that I don't mind getting extras of in my hand because of Rai. So that's why this guy is your starting Vanguard in this deck. And like I say, if you end up riding to grade 2 on your Vanguard with Garuda, this guy pays, he basically undoes it because they almost never guard the Garuda, and if they guard the Garuda that early, well then they wasted shields ultimately, and that's still good, and any extra Garudas could still do it, and it's not like it's going to block your Vermillion play. Your triggers are pretty straightforward. You got 4 copies of Sabo, your healed trigger. She's just amazing. I love her. And we're running 4 copies of the Yellow Gem Carbuncle, which should probably let you know that we're also running 4 copies of the Malevolent Djinn as your other. So you're running 8 crits, and you really do need it. This deck is more or less kind of aggressive and speed-based. You kind of need a good hand, but with a lot of decks, ultimately it comes down to triggers. But when you're swinging those big columns, you really want those crits to come off your drive check. And of course, we're also running 4 copies of our draw trigger, the Old Dragon Mage. So no stand triggers, but stand is kind of that underloved trigger. So anyway, that is the deck. And until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and check out my channel for more cool gaming content.